do some remixes of some 90s stuff quite soon, and what I wanted to do was to use the authentic original equipment that I had back from that time. I spent yesterday putting all of my older stuff together into a studio, so I thought a quick tour would be of interest, particularly if anyone that likes old gear. So I was going to quickly go through it then and just say a little bit about it. So this is my main analog Poly, and unless I get something new, I probably won't ever be able to get anything else. So I'll definitely be hanging on to this one. I got this shipped over from the States in very poor condition and nursed it back to health. It still has a couple of issues. In fact, when I was testing it out yesterday, I did notice a few issues with the keys. Quite often these things fix themselves though, and it might be a bit better behaved today, just as well really. So the first ESQ I got was in the early 90s, and this is its replacement. Made the mistake in the early 2000s of getting rid of all my hardware, when I wasn't doing a lot of music back then anyway, just spending too much time in the pub instead. I've also got the CZ1, which you might have seen in a few other videos. Now, I didn't have a CZ1 back in the 90s, I had a CZ101, but this essentially does the same job, but with a bit more polyphony. So that will cover that part of any mixes that I'm working on. Similarly with the WASP, I couldn't afford a real WASP now, but I did have a WASP Deluxe. Was it a special? I can't remember. I did have a WASP and I sold it, but I got a good price for that, so I can't complain too much really. Then the cheapy stuff, the QI10. Apart from the recent track I did and remixes, I probably won't be doing much with this going forward, but I've got a lot of work to do with it now, and I'll keep it anyway because, you know, old time's sake, you never know when you might need it again. It's also got a really great crunchy vibe sound. I'll just give you a demo of that. I'm using this as a master keyboard. It's just so sort of distorted and digital, and it really cuts through in a mix. I really quite like that sound. CZ7, which has got, again, another whole collection of sounds. I use it a lot for drum sounds. In fact, I use both of these, the drum kits from both of these, sometimes combining them together. So that's going to be invaluable for getting these new mixes done. I think it's quite a nice balance actually, because you've got the analog side of things. You can get some really nice mystical sounds from the ESQ, and then you've got the clean digital sounds which you can get from the CZ, and then the rumplers basically fill in the rest of it, and the drums, and then a bit more analog and bass line from the WASP. It's pretty good. I'm not using the lexicon at the moment, so that's not actually connected. I just couldn't be bothered to take it out of the rack. MIDI interface, of course, need that. And just for effects, I'm going back to just using the microverb. This is going to be the only reverb I use on these remixes, and that is really going to help with the authenticity and blending remixes in with the original tracks so that they all sound like they belong together. Just use the same equipment. It's the easiest way to do it. Now, a quick word about the workstation. So I'm using Cakewalk, but I did start using Cakewalk in the late 90s, but I don't think for any of the mixes I'm working with it was used. I'm pretty certain it wasn't. What I was using was a Mac Classic, with a tiny little screen. It was a great machine, which sadly, again, I got rid of. That was a mistake, but I wouldn't be using that now anyway. So this is fine. I've imported all of my old tracks, or the ones that survived, into this. So I'll be using original MIDI data to recreate tracks and then mix. Well, I've done videos about most of this equipment. You'll be able to find videos about the ESQ, CZ, WASP, QY, and the SC7. And I think there's even one about microverb. So I've really covered all these. But I thought it'd be interesting just to see it all together. So I'm going to stop that there and just leave it at that.
I am more than machine. And less than human. I can never dream. Or I can never sleep.